What's up guys, I'm Nathan and in this video I'll be showing you guys the updated anime adventures tier list for the new BLAECH update. So we'll be starting off with the new characters and I'll be giving you guys my explanations. So S tier is going to be for the characters that are meta and just really close to meta. A tier is going to be for the characters that are very good. B tier is going to be the characters that are best for beginners. C tier is going to be the characters that are okay for beginners. And D tier is going to be for characters that are bad even for beginners. Starting off with Ulquiorra, he's going to be mid to low S tier. Ulquiorra has around 2100 DPS. These are kind of like level 70 stats for the most part because level 80 is going to be hard for me to get all the previous characters to level 80 for me to compare. So for comparison's sake, I'm going to be using just the level 70 stats for these characters. So Ulquiorra has around 2100 DPS with around 41 point something range. And his AoE is pretty good, around similar to Dio's. So he is one of those raw DPS characters, kind of similar to Arima, but I would say Arima is better because Arima's cone AoE is pretty wide, and I would say that his cone AoE is actually going to be better than Ulquiorra's circle AoE. But still, I would say pretty solid character, definitely deserves an S tier. Blue Devil is a new leaderboard unit. He's going to be in like D tier because did I just say D tier? He's gonna be an A tier because he's got around 900 DPS with around 20 range, and he's actually got full AoE and he can place 5. So he's kind of like the increase of Future Gohan. Though Future Gohan also is quite good, and honestly, just a totally different version. So it's not, you can't really easily compare them. I would say maybe Blue Devil is slightly better since he is full AoE. Then you have Grimmjow, who's going to be top B tier. He's going to be like the highest DPS legendary. Obviously not counting Dio and Owen because they are support, and probably even Rukia, but like he is going to be the highest DPS because he has around 404 DPS with 27.3 range. Obviously these stats can differ slightly because it depends on your RNG. And yeah, he's got a decent AoE. It's gonna be like a rectangle AoE, which is kind of narrow, I would say. But you can place 5, so that's actually pretty good. So it's gonna be a better version of Toka from the previous update, who previously I said was the best because she had 380 DPS, but this character does have slightly more. Then we have the full holo Ichigo, who's going to be higher up in B tier. I still would not say that he deserves an A tier because he's only got around 550 DPS with 24.7 range, kind of mid AoE, but you can place 5, so there's that. His AoE is again a rectangle, kind of similar to Grimmjow. Then we have Uryu, who's going to be like low S tier because he's actually a hill unit, and I'm giving priority to hill units because we now finally have air units in the game. So yeah, I'm not going to go and put him in top A tier. Plus he's actually not even that bad. Like he's got 1750 DPS. This is accounting for the crit because Uryu is kind of like a better version of Levi, a significantly better version of Levi, because he's going to be having around 1750 DPS counting the crit because you've got a 25% chance of dealing double damage. He has also got 47.2 range, which is way more than Levi. He's got a bad circle AoE, but it's still a lot better than Levi's. And yes, he is a hill unit, and you can place 5 of him. I mean, you can place 6 of Levi, but still, the better AoE and better range definitely is a pretty good thing for Uryu, and he's definitely going to be like the highest DPS hill unit if I'm not mistaken. Then we have Coyote Starrk, who is a monster DPS unit, definitely the highest DPS in the game, I think. It's just that you can only place 3 of him, so when you account that, it's not the highest DPS, but there's a few things that make him pretty good. So this dude, for a single one, it's 2400 DPS, which is actually kind of amazing. You get some 53.1 range, which is again really good. He's got a very good AoE. It's gonna be a rectangular AoE, but it's thick. He summons these exploding wolves that again do a lot of damage, and like I said, you can place only 3. So I mean, yeah, he's still pretty damn good. Then we have Lelouch, who I'm actually not even putting in God tier. I'm gonna go ahead and put him around here. Lelouch is good in the sense he does have the ability that makes the enemies move back and attack themselves. He's also got the ability where he summons these enemies, summons these units that do pretty good damage. They shoot as well. It's just that the fact that a summoner doesn't have AoE isn't great. Like, I actually saw a couple of videos that show that this dude can only actually get to around wave 50 plus. Maybe if you place all 3 using support, you can get to around 100 on Planet Namek, but that's actually pretty bad. And that's mainly gonna be because he doesn't really have AoE. It's just gonna essentially be a single target, and that, no matter how high his DPS might be, it's not great. So I would say he's worse than Coyote Starrk. Then you have Ace, who's going to be again in B tier. He's decent for beginners, I would say, but he's not going to be easy for a beginner to get. He's another secret unit, which you can get from the Marineford map. He has around 460 DPS, which is a lot worse than Ichigo Full Hollow. He has around 25.5 range with decently good AoE, and he burns, and you can once again place 5. Luffy Marineford is D tier for obvious reasons. Future Gohan, it's hard to tell for me whether he's better or not, but I'll go and put him. Actually, I would say he's probably better than Blue Devil, because the thing is, Future Gohan has around 1100 DPS with around 27 range, and he's still got a decently good circle AoE. Like, Blue Devil's range is a lot worse, and he also has worse damage. So yeah, I would say Future Gohan is probably better. Then we have Eren, who's going to be in C tier because he's definitely not one of the best legendaries. He's a summoner unit. He summons an attack titan as well that does like 3000 plus damage, and he also attacks before that, but still, summoners, like I said, aren't really great. So yeah, Lelouch is no longer going to be as high as I put him before. Then you have Genos, who's going to be in D tier. He basically hits pretty fast, but he definitely does not hit hard. Sanji is going to be in D tier. He's not bad for beginners because he's really cheap to place down. It's just that his range is dog water. Then we have Piccolo, who's going to be again D tier. He has good range, but again, he does not hit hard. Then we have Levi, who's going to be right there in A tier. Levi does around 1800 damage per second, accounting for the crit, again similar to Uryu, 25% chance to deal double damage. He's again a heal unit, it's just that his AoE is even more garbage than Uryu, but you can place 6 of him, so he's definitely a pretty solid DPS character. Then you have Speedwagon, obviously S tier. He's going to be faster to max out than Bulma in story mode because you can place down 3 of him. Akainu is definitely going to be right there in S tier. I don't really know if he's better or worse than Uryu. For now, I'm gonna keep him as better. Actually, I'll just keep him below because why the heck not? Like, Akainu does only like 900 DPS. He does burn, so his DPS is gonna be close to Uryu. And he also has a way bigger AoE, but he can only place 4 of him, and you can place 5 of Uryu. But the AoE is a lot bigger. Honestly, yeah, I'll put him right up there, but like, I would say they're kind of even. Again, Akainu is definitely useful because he's again a heal unit, and those heal units are definitely going to be helpful now. Crocodile, pretty dang good. Epic, though I think he's outclassed by the new Epic. I forgot to add him in this tier list, but the new Epic is going to be right above Crocodile. Then we have Zenitsu, who's going to be again C tier. Not C tier. Zenitsu is an epic, so Zenitsu is gonna be like D tier. He's pretty bad. Then we have Gaara, who stuns. Law, who is a single target but like good DPS, but I'll put him in top D tier. Then we have Erwin, who's gonna be right about here in S tier because Erwin's gonna be doing a 25% boost, and this dude is an absolute god on story mode. He's just so helpful. He's a hybrid as well, and it's just really helpful on story mode. You can even literally solo things like the Marineford map, and it definitely is really helpful even if you duo like the Tokyo Ghoul map. Then we have Whitebeard, who's going to be top 8 tier. He's kind of like a manual version of All Might, which is why he's not as good, but he basically can push the enemies back, but you can only place 3 of him, whereas you can place 4 of All Might. Then we have Blackbeard, who's going to be right there. He's again really good, full AoE, and he curses the enemies, which makes them take more damage, 1.5 times the damage. It's just that it's temporary, and Owen's effect is permanent. Then we have this thing, Goku, who's going to be right about here. He's got a pretty good range in AoE, but it's just that his DPS is pretty garbage. Then we have Mihawk, who's not bad. Like, he's got a good AoE and stuff. I mean, he's not got a good AoE. His AoE is kind of narrow, but he's got a good range, and his DPS is okay, but I would not say he's like best for beginners. Sakura is going to be right there because she actually is going to give you a 10% buff, and that's honestly good. Then we have Giorno, who used to be the best legendary on story mode, but now not really. Then we have Goku Blue, who's going to be right about there. He's again a pretty decent DPS legendary. Then we have Josuke, who's going to be right about here in D tier. Josuke is going to be a little stun, it's just that it's single target. Then we have All Might, who's going to be right here in S tier. He's going to be able to actually push back the enemies automatically, which is once again really helpful. Then we have Frieza, who's going to be in D tier, but Frieza's got a pretty huge AoE, so honestly not too bad. Then we have Todoroki, who's going to be right there because Todoroki is actually capable of slowing down the units as well as burning them, which honestly is not too bad. Then we have Broly, who's going to be right there in S tier. Now Broly may not have the craziest of DPS, it's only going to be around like 600 or 700 or so, but full AoE with massive range is pretty damn good. So I'll still go ahead and put him right here. Maybe I'll put him below Coyote Starrk, but he's still really damn good. Then we have Killua, who's going to be right there. Then we have Madara, who's going to be in A tier. Madara does have still a pretty good AoE, and he burns. It's just that he's now just outclassed by most of the new characters. We have Bulma, who's going to be right about there in S tier. Obviously, she's going to be giving you money. Then you have Kakyoin, who is going to be having a pretty good AoE, but I mean overall pretty bad. Not really ordering these characters that are down. Even S tier isn't really ordered except for the lower ones, because for the most part meta characters are still meta. It really doesn't change much. Shanks is going to be right there in S tier. Shanks is obviously really helpful because high DPS, around 1400 or something, and he's full AoE and he time stops, which is really useful. Then you have Luffy, D tier, obviously bottom D tier. Then we have Overhaul, who initially has a pretty fast SPA, but then it becomes worse and he gets an AoE. Then you have Kizaru, who is going to be right about there in C tier. Not the best legendary, but definitely not terrible either. Then you have Diavolo, who's going to be right there in A tier. He's not really the best. He has like 1000 DPS, and he has this full map time stop. It's just that it's kind of useless because it barely lasts for any time, and overall just not really useful. Rengoku, the regular Rengoku, is honestly not the best. This is the unevolved version of Rengoku. He's definitely not great. Then you have Dio, who's obviously one of the best legendaries. He's going to be able to time stop automatically, which is really helpful. Then you have Armin, who's going to be right there in C tier. Armin is the worst mythic. He's got like full AoE and he does some decent damage, so there's that. Then you have this oh my god, I just had a stroke. Then you have Kakashi. And Kakashi is not really that good because he's really expensive, and considering that, he's not really worth it. Then we have Karakuri, who's able to slow down the enemies with a pretty big AoE and range, so honestly not too bad. Pain is gonna be right about here in A tier. Pain is able to push back the enemies, and considering that, he's actually a really good legendary. Go ahead and put him right about there. Then we have Jotaro, who's going to be right there in A tier. He is able to manually time stop, so he's kind of like the budget Shanks. It's just that his DPS isn't as good as Shanks, obviously. Then we have Itachi, who's going to be right about here. Itachi is again a hill unit, so I mean not too bad, I guess. Then we have Darby, who's going to be right there. Darby is definitely one of the worst legendaries. he does have a rectangle AoE with burn, but it's still pretty bad. Aaron Founder, I'm going to have to actually put him not even in S tier. I'm moving him down because, yeah, like I said, now I kind of realized that summoners are pretty bad. So Aaron's gonna be right there in A tier. He does do the rumbling with like 5 million plus damage, but it's a summoner, like I said. So yeah, look. Then we have this dude who's going to be right below Future Gohan. As I mentioned in my previous video, he is in fact slightly worse, so I'll go ahead and put him right there. Naruto isn't really worth getting. You can get him from the raids though if you really want to. The regular version is pretty bad. I'm going to go ahead and put him right here. Then we have Zeke, who's going to be about here because he does have a pretty huge range. It's just that his DPS is really bad. Then you have Jozu, who's going to be right about here because Jozu is actually able to make the enemies bleed. He does around 1400 DPS, and yeah, bleeding actually slows down HP regen, so it's actually really helpful on the Tokyo Ghoul map in particular. But when you don't look at the Tokyo Ghoul map, then he's not as insane. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna put him lower in S tier, but he's still really good. Then we have Noro, who's going to be right about here. Noro previously was the best. Noro still is the best for story mode, I would say, because he has like a 350 DPS and he's kind of cheap compared to the other characters. Then we have Toka, who's going to be right here. Toka used to be the best, but now Grimmjow is. Then we have Tatara, who's going to be in once again top 8 tier. Tatara has around 28 range and he's able to make the enemies burn. He also has this double burn thing. His burn does double damage, so that's kind of good, but yeah, nothing crazy compared to some of the other burning characters. I would say Rengoku and Akenu are overall better because Akenu is able to hit air and Rengoku just has a really good AoE and stuff. Then we have Renzi, who's going to be right there in B tier. He has around 600 DPS. Other stats are kind of similar to Hollow, Ichigo and Ace. Then we have Ito, who's going to be again top 8 tier. Ito is pretty good. You can only place 3 of him, but 3 of her. Ito was a girl. I think I remember that. Yeah, so you can only place 3, but she does have 53 range with a decent AoE. And she also does increased damage per wave. So definitely, potentially a pretty good character. Then we have this character, Kaneki, who's going to be right here. Kaneki is able to make the enemies bleed with a pretty decent DPS. So not bad, it's just that his range is really bad. Then we have, this is a lot of units. Then we have Arima, who is going to be right about here. Arima is obviously a really good DPS, around 2000 DPS with 43 range. Different version of Coyote Starrk basically. It's just that the Coyote Starrk has those exploding wolves and stuff, so overall I would say maybe Coyote is a bit better, even though you can only place 3. Then we have the legendary version of Akaza, and legendary version of Akaza is honestly going to be like right there in A tier. It's definitely a pretty solid character, and he can also evolve. The legendary Akaza has like 570 DPS with good AoE and around 20 range. So actually I'll just put him in top B tier, right next to Renzi. They kind of on a similar caliber. Then we have Rengoku, the evolved version. Rengoku's evolved version can probably say like right about there. Again, Akenu is now getting more priority because he is a hit unit, but Rengoku is definitely still a solid pick. Then we have finally Akaza Destruction, who's going to be right about there. Honestly, Akaza Destruction is kind of better because Akaza kind of self-buffs, but they are very similar characters. But Akaza is a lot cheaper as well. They both raid characters, but I would say Akaza is just more worth overall. But yeah, they're overall kind of equal. So that's pretty much it for this tier list. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know if there's anything that you do not agree with. And I'll probably make the changes in the pinned comment if I feel that it's necessary. And I will catch you guys in the next video. See ya.